The brutal things ancient humans did to survive winter. Imagine waking up and the air itself hurts to breathe, your hands have stopped working, and one wrong step outside could cost you a foot. Now imagine this isn't one terrible night. This is your whole life, every winter, for thousands of years, with nothing between you and death. This was the Ice Age, and here's the uncomfortable truth. If you were dropped into it tonight, with everything you know, you'd be dead before spring. Not because you aren't tough, because toughness wasn't enough. To survive this world, our ancestors did things that sound less like survival and more like nightmare. Let's set the scene, because most people badly underestimate how deadly this was. Around 20,000 years ago, ice sheets kilometers thick buried entire continents. Where humans actually lived, winters hit temperatures that would kill a modern person, in full gear, in days. And the land was ruled by giants, woolly mammoths. Cave bears, cave lions bigger than any lion alive today. These animals were the greatest danger our ancestors faced, and their only way to live, because humans evolved in the warmth of Africa. No fur, no fat layer, no natural defense. Everything that kept us alive had to be taken by force from a world trying to kill us. Which brings us to the first brutal survival strategy, eating the unthinkable. Because in this cold, the enemy isn't only winter, it's starvation. And they work together. Plants are gone, the ground is iron. So our ancestors became fanatical with the one thing that keeps a body alive in the cold, and it's fat. Calories, grease. When they killed an animal, nothing was wasted. They went for the parts most of us would never touch. They cracked the bones open with rocks. Inside was marrow dense, greasy, calorie-rich, the difference between reaching morning and not. They ate organs raw. Nothing was too grim to swallow. And here's the twist most people don't know. In the deep cold, a lean animal could actually kill you. Meat alone wasn't enough. Your body burns enormous energy just to stay warm. Without fat, you can starve with meat still in your stomach. So they hunted not for meals, for grease. There was no such thing as a picky eater. There was only what kept you alive, and that was just the food problem. The cold was a whole other war, because your own skin is useless out here. So our ancestors did something that sounds gentle until you picture it. They wore the dead. They took the skins of other animals and wrapped themselves in them. And around 30,000 years ago, one tiny invention changed everything. The needle. A sliver of bone or ivory, small enough to hold between two fingers, powerful enough to change human history. For the first time, people could sew. Fitted, layered clothing that trapped warm air against the body, instead of just draping over it. It doesn't sound like much. It let entire populations survive places that were pure death. But every layer came at a cost. Every coat, every boot meant an animal died, and someone spent hours scraping its hide with stone tools, hands numb in the freezing air. Now here's where it gets darker. Fire. Not a comfort, not a luxury. Fire was the single thread every life hung from. Letting the fire die wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence for the whole group. Restarting one with frozen hands could take longer than a freezing body has, so the fire was never allowed to go out, ever. It was guarded through the night in shifts, fed like a member of the family, carried carefully from place to place. If you feel this, then subscribe us now. It thawed water, softened food, dried the sweat from clothing before that sweat could freeze against the skin and kill, and it held back the predators in the dark. Imagine a world where one object going cold for a single careless hour could wipe out everyone you love. For Ice Age humans, that wasn't a fear, it was Tuesday. But perhaps the darkest possibility of all isn't about what they killed or burned, it's about what may have happened inside their own bodies. At a site in Spain called Cima de los Huesos, the Pit of Bones, researchers found evidence of extreme physiological stress in ancient human remains. And some scientists proposed something controversial, that ancient humans may have entered a state resembling hibernation, not a bear's deep sleep, a dramatic slowing of the body and its hunger. The evidence is heavily debated, and many reject it entirely, but the fact that it's even on the table shows how far these people may have been pushed. Imagine a winter so long and so starved that staying alive meant powering your own body down, like a dying flame, just to reach the first day of spring. And then there's the most uncomfortable reality of all. Not everyone made it. As the Ice Age dragged on, our closest relatives, the Neanderthals, disappeared. And this is the part that should stop you cold. The Neanderthals were stronger than us, built to hold heat better than us. In many ways, better made for the cold. They'd survived cold Europe for hundreds of thousands of years. On paper, they should have been the ones who made it, and yet they vanished. Climate swings, collapsing food, competition, something pushed them past recovery. An entire branch of humanity, gone. And scientists still argue about exactly why. Some say our tools, some say our social networks, some say 1,000 tiny advantages stacking up. But the outcome never changes. Only one kind of human walked out of the ice. So how did we survive conditions that erased something stronger than us? The answer wasn't a single invention, it was each other. Archaeologists keep finding tools and shells hundreds of miles from where they came from, proof that even in the most hostile place on Earth, human groups stayed connected. Those connections meant trade, shared knowledge, support when it mattered. If one group was starving, another might carry them through the winter. In a world this cold, cooperation wasn't kindness, it was a survival strategy, maybe the greatest one humans ever developed. The lone genius froze. The connected group lived. When you put it all together, the picture isn't really one of clever invention, it's one of desperation disguised as ingenuity. Cracking open bones for the grease inside because a lean kill could starve you. Wearing the skins of dangerous animals because your own skin was worthless. Guarding a single flame with your life because losing it meant losing everyone. Possibly slowing your own body toward death just to outlast the dark. And watching a stronger kind of human vanish into the cold around you. We imagine our ancestors as primitive, but survival at this level was closer to brutal genius. Every meal, every layer, every fire, every alliance built directly on top of starvation, frostbite, and fear. None of it was comfort. All of it was war. So tonight, when you turn up the heat and complain that it's cold, remember something. Your ancestors survived winters so brutal an entire species of human died in them. They ate what we couldn't stomach, wore the dead, guarded fire like a newborn, and endured conditions that would kill most modern people in a matter of days. The reason you're warm tonight isn't that humans adapted perfectly to the cold. It's that they refused to surrender to it generation after generation. You are not the descendant of people who were comfortable. You are the descendant of the ones who would not freeze. So the real question is, could you?